requested by KK to go to the forest and to give up the kingdom. He said, yeah, all right, anything else? Otherwise he accepted, just accepting what is best. Of course he is the Lord, but still he's giving the example. And then Pratikulyasya Varajana, that whatever is not pleasing to Krishna, even if I like it very much, I will not do it. These are two most important things. And then Rakshishiti Vishvaso, that Krishna is the supreme protector, my supreme protector. I don't need any other protector besides Krishna. There's so many protectors. If we look in the Vedas, all kinds of mantras and everything we can chant, and different deities we can worship for protection. But the devotee only depends on Krishna. And of course Krishna's expansion as Lord Nrsimha. That's also Krishna. And Gopchitte Varanam Tata. And Krishna is my only maintainer. Even though whatever my situation in this world is, I know that everything is coming from Krishna. And then Atmanikshepa, that therefore I surrender everything to Krishna. But I don't do it reluctantly. I do it karpanye, in humility, with full eagerness. That I want Krishna to be pleased, so whatever he wants. So these 6 things, if we perform them, then this is the way to please Krishna. How we can please Krishna. So here we're speaking about pleasing Krishna. Niskama karma yoga pleases Krishna. And bhakti yoga pleases Krishna. Now in the 18th chapter, Krishna makes the transition, although he's already spoken of it a few times. Like in the end of the 9th chapter, he spoke about bhakti. Man mano bhava mad bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru mam nivashisi uttai mam atmanam matparayana. That just think of me favorably and become my devotee. Worship me and follow all the injunctions that I have provided for you. And do everything in full relationship to me, and then you will come to me. So this is bhakti. And there's some places where he's spoken about bhakti, but in the 18th chapter he will make the full transition to bhakti. Of course, Bhagavad Gita, according to our previous acharyas, is speaking about, and Krishna, we see this, each chapter is speaking about a different type of mentality that one may have in this world, and how to offer it to Krishna. So it actually deals more with Niskama Karma Yoga than Bhakti. But Srila Prabhupada just he translated it all into Bhakti. He just made, because he wanted everyone to understand this is the goal. He didn't get into all the technical details like previous acharyas have done. So, because Srila Prabhupada knew that, what is his audience? His audience are people who know nothing about devotional service. It's not like we were trained up in the Vedic system, and even nowadays people are trained up in the Vedic system don't understand that bhakti is the ultimate goal. As Krishna has already confirmed, that I am the goal of the Vedas. But most people don't understand that, right? In India, most people don't understand. They understand Bhagavad Gita is to get you to work harder. No, that's all. Do your duty, and you decide what the duty is, not Krishna. So, even in India, we've lost it. What to speak of anywhere else, where they never even had it. No. So, but everyone knows bhakti. But the problem is we don't know Krishna bhakti. Everyone knows how to meditate, but we don't know how to meditate on Krishna. No. Many times people ask me in the yoga studio, like, how do we meditate? You've been doing it all your life, just meditating on the wrong thing. No, that's all. No. So you just, whatever you've been doing, just like a young man thinks about a young woman, Or a young man nowadays thinks about all kinds of electronic objects, And so just as much as you meditate on that, just substitute it for Krishna. Just like Bilbo Mangala Thakur. Bilbo Mangala Thakur, he was sitting and meditating every day on the banks of the river. And then where he was meditating, he was facing the holy river. And just on the other side, there was a prostitute. So during his meditation, she would come out on the balcony sometimes, and he got distracted and looked at her, and he became attracted. And then instead of meditating on Krishna, he started meditating on her. And then one day he decided, I must have her. Dayato Vishayan Bhumsam. Krishna warns us, be careful what you meditate on. Because if you meditate on the sense objects, you will develop an attachment. And that just like going back to the example of young man and young woman, and sometimes they're not even so young. They see someone who's attractive, and they're immediately thinking, how can I meet this person? What can I say? How can I show that I'm the right attractive person for them? But if you never saw them, you wouldn't think any of them. As soon as we make contact with an object, and we think that I can enjoy that object, whatever it may be, person, a car, whatever, if we never see it, then we don't care about it. Just like Rishaya Sringha was a brahmachari, and he was born of a deer. So he never saw a woman in his life. He never thought about women because he never saw one. He didn't even see his mother. It's just, his mother was a deer, so she wasn't a woman. And he never even saw her anyway. So when he saw women, he didn't know what they were. And then this woman was trying to, convince him to do something to bring him back to it. So he embraced them. He said, well, they're funny the way there's kind of a tingling sensation when you embrace them. What is that? And gradually he got educated. So this is we should be careful what we meditate on. So anyway, going back to our verse, this is austerity and goodness. Now goodness is not totally transcendental. Goodness, to be totally transcendental, we're talking about sattva gun. But pure goodness is vishuddha sattva, which means sattva gun without any trace of rajas or passion, without any trace of tamas or ignorance. 100% pure goodness. So, if we cultivate this goodness, then, and that will be explained in chapter 18 also, if we cultivate goodness very carefully, but we don't want to get attached to goodness. We always should understand whatever is being explained here is the platform from which we can go to bhakti. This is not bhakti in itself. Goodness is a little dangerous, because goodness sometimes makes us feel that it's very nice, so much better than everything else in this world. Because especially in Kali Yuga, if you can actually come to the platform of goodness, it's so miserable in Kali Yuga. So much passion, so much ignorance, that when one is in goodness, one begins to feel a little proud. Proud of your knowledge, proud of your self-satisfaction. And then the danger in goodness is that you begin to feel superiority to others. And then without humility, without tolerance, without these qualities that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has enunciated in his Shikshastakam, then we cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. We can't fully advance. We can advance to some degree. So goodness is a little dangerous. You have to be careful and understand that this is the best place to be in the material world, the best consciousness to have in order to achieve bhakti. But don't confuse it with bhakti. Sometimes we even see that one will think that the platform of goodness, morality, ethics, etc. is better than bhakti. Sometimes people think like that. Because sometimes we see that people who are ascending, most of the people we see in the process or in the path of bhakti yoga are ascending. And that means they still have some of their external material qualities, and therefore they'll have some defects. And sometimes you see someone who's very nicely situated in goodness. They seem to be better situated. Just like the person ascending in bhakti, they may lack some humility. They may lack some disciplines. And this other person who's in goodness may have those disciplines. They may have a certain cultural training that's superior to the cultural training of the aspiring bhakta. So sometimes people say that. Wow, these people are nicer than the devotees. Have you ever heard that? I've heard that. So sometimes that happens. But we have to be very careful about these things. In the instructions of Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, he warns us about this. I can't remember the whole verse. Bhakta sada mam charanam bhujam hare. Yes, yes. Yeah, I can't remember the verse right now. I'm a little tired. But anyway, the verse says that if one gives up all external things and surrenders to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if their surrendering process or their bhakti or their devotion is a little lacking, it's a little immature, still they are so much better situated than one who can perform their duty in this world perfectly. So he warns us, don't think that just because someone is very expert in this world. Nowadays people get so bewildered by big yogis, they have some mystical power, or very, very cultured people, scientists, philosophers, etc. And they speak nicely, they're very intelligent. But Maya Papita Jnana, as Krishna says, the real knowledge, the knowledge of devotion, the knowledge of bhakti has been stolen away, has been hidden. And they're very enamored by their own intelligence. I remember a few times I was speaking with some professors, and I always noticed how they politely wait for me to speak, but then then the attitude is, okay, now I'll tell you how it really is. I allowed you to speak, so now I'll tell you what the reality is. So this is the unfortunate thing about this world. Again, goodness. People have a lot of knowledge, they're situated in goodness, so they have that tendency to feel some superiority. Of course, we shouldn't feel any superiority to one in goodness. If one is really a devotee should be humble. And a devotee should think that Krishna has sent me here to serve this person. So if I can give them some knowledge that they may not have access to, this is my service. Not that I have something that they don't have, but I am Krishna's messenger. I'm Krishna's servant. So we have to be careful in condemning, and not to condemn others who condemn us. Otherwise they may feel this or that, but we are not reactionary. A devotee is simply a servant of Krishna. That is our situation, that's our eternal situation. And we see this so many times. Just like Bhikkhu Muni, when he approached, when he was requested by a council of Brahmins to find out who is superior, Vishnu, Shiva, or Brahma. So first he went to Brahma, and when he came up to Brahma, he didn't offer respects, even though Lord Brahma was his father. And so Brahma was a little angry. There's no proper etiquette here. But by his superior intelligence, he controlled his anger. He just let it go. Then he went to Lord Shiva, who came to embrace him. And he said, don't touch me, you're covered with ashes, you're always associating with ghostly personalities. Keep your distance. And Shiva was ready to kill him, but Parvati said, "Oh, he's your brother." Then he went to Lord Vishnu, and he even did worse. He kicked him in the chest. And Lord Vishnu said, "Oh, my dear Brahman, I hope I didn't hurt your foot. My chest is very hard. I hope I didn't hurt your foot. And it's a great honor for me to receive the blessings of the dust of the feet of the Brahman. Today I have been especially blessed." Of course, Lakshmi Devi didn't feel the same way. She felt not only did he kick my Lord, but he did it right on my resting place. Right on my chest, which is where I rest. So this is invasion. Attacking my husband and attacking my home. So she cursed him. That the Brahmins will never, they will never be rich. They will never have my favor. So therefore Brahmins are generally poor. So, but Bhrigu Muni could see the humility in the Supreme Person. He's the owner of everything. He could have burnt Bhrigu Muni to ashes. And there would be no reaction. Everyone would think, "Oh, perfectly just. He's the Supreme Lord, he can do what he wants." But he showed. What is the attitude? So if the Lord acts like that, how much more does the servant act like that? If the Supreme Lord has that degree of humility, how much more humility should we have? So this is how a devotee should feel when they actually come to this platform of goodness. Now, another thing that's said in this verse, there's no purport here, but I'm just trying to pick out some. Perform the transcendental faith. This is another ingredient. So here we're talking about austerity in the mode of goodness, but Krishna is actually bringing it to the platform of bhakti. Because he said, your faith must be transcendental. What does transcendental faith mean? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said transcendental faith, Shraddha Shabde, Vishvasya Kahe Sudhrida Nishchoy, Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti, Kali Na Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That it means the unflinching conviction that by serving Krishna, everything else will be taken care of. I just have to serve Krishna. I don't have to do anything. This is transcendental faith. Because as Srila Prabhupada said, just like I mentioned this about meditation, everybody has faith. Actually, as we deepen our understanding of Bhagavad Gita and we deepen our understanding of the teachings of our acharyas, especially Rupa Goswami, we'll find that all of the principles that he enunciated are universal principles. Just like he speaks about that the activities that are or attitudes and activities that are favorable to bhakti, utsaha nishtaya dharya. So utsaha, enthusiasm, patience, and faith or conviction are very favorable, but they're also favorable for material activities. Just like we see people are enthusiastic to work in some field or make money, and then they have patience. They'll wait until wait for the right moment to do everything, and they have complete faith and conviction that if I do this, then I will become rich. They follow the rules and regulations of the society. They associate with rich people, and they don't associate with poor people. So the same universal principles are there. Everything we find here, these are actually universal principles, but they're being applied. So Srila Prabhupada said, everyone has faith. People have faith, just like people have faith especially in Western Europe, US, South Africa, and Australia, that this consumer society will just go on and on. And I can take out a loan for the next 20 years, and I can do this and that. The credit system will go on. Everything will go on. Even though even the best economists are saying, we don't know what's going to happen. But people have this faith. And of course that faith is necessary for the system to go on, so that if it collapses, then those who made it go on will come out ahead. So that's always necessary, especially when you're talking about business. Srila Prabhupada said one time, and this is what the stock market experts and everything, he said, a good Vaishya knows how to make money when the economy is good and when the economy is bad. They always know how to make money. That's an expert Vaishya. So an expert devotee, Prabhupada is giving the comparison. An expert devotee also knows how to apply the principles of bhakti to every situation and every condition of life. So, this is what we're talking about here. Transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits. So, this not expecting material benefits is spoken about in Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam. The first answer to the sages' questions in the Bhagavatam, Savaipum saparo dharmo yato bhaktir dhokshachaya haitukiya pratiyata. These two ingredients. This is what it means to not expect anything. There is no motivation. Otherwise, I serve Krishna with no motivation, no personal motivation. The only motivation is to please Krishna. And I do it without any interruption. These two things must be there. And these things are said again and again. These two principles are universal principles. They're actually paribhasa elements of the whole teachings of Bhakti, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Again and again they appear. Unmotivated and fully dedicated. Just like we were reading a verse yesterday in the 8th chapter. And the same principle is there. That this was 8:14. One who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to abstain because of his constant engagement. So, without deviation, otherwise no motivation, and constant engagement. Same two things. And you'll find it again and again throughout Bhagavad Gita, that these two things have to be there. Nirmamo nirahankara. Without any false ego and any sense of possessiveness. So sense of possessiveness is generally a motivation. I want to have this, I want to get this. And nirahankar, free from false ego. Otherwise, I'm willing to do this always and constantly for the pleasure of Krishna. So these are very important principles. For the sake of the Supreme is austerity and goodness, but it's also austerity and perfection. Everything that is mentioned here should be found in the consciousness of a devotee. Otherwise, in the Bhagavatam, Yashasti Bhakti or Bhagavati Kinchana Sarvar Gunais Tatra Samasate Sura. It's stated that one who is actually situated in bhakti, and what kind of bhakti? Akinchana. Akinchana comes from kanchana, which means gold. Without gold, without possession.